And welcome back to the NFL Today, where Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL, takes you first on the field. The Texans and Jets are about to do battle, so let's go out to the Meadowlands, where Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf are standing by. Gentlemen.
JB, the new Meadowlands Stadium hasn't exactly been home sweet home to the New York Jets. They've won 2 of 4 here. Not good enough for Coach Rex Ryan, who challenged fans this week to get the tailgating done, get into their seats, and cheer their Jets early and often. The Jets share the AFC East lead with the New England Patriots, and after they take on the Texans here minutes from now, the Patriots will battle the Colts in our doubleheader game here on CBS. That game will also be of big interest to Houston. Right now, they're bringing up the rear in the AFC South, 2 games back of Indy. The Texans trying to shake a 3-game losing streak. And with that, welcome everyone. Greg Gumbel along with my Hall of Fame partner Dan Deerdorf. These are heady times around here for the New York Jets and the New York Giants, particularly the Jets, Dan, who have a record as good as any and better than most.
Yeah, and at 7-2, they've got an important 5 days coming up, Greg. Here today and then home again on Thursday night. They can really, really stretch their legs.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez having himself a good time, isn't he?
Yeah, isn't he really? And what a difference from a year ago. Remember, at this time last year, this club was 4-5. Mark Sanchez was having ball security problems. He's now got 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. His ball security so much better. And the last couple of weeks, he's been in a couple nail-biters.
Folk with a chance to win it from 30 yards away. Good snap. Nice hold. It's up. The field goal is good. Good pass caught. In the open field, Holmes taken off, and the Jets are going to win it. Touchdown, New York, and the victory from 37 yards.
And after serving that 4-game suspension, Holmes is finally up to speed. He brings a real explosiveness to the Jets offense, and with Jericho Cotchery out today because of that groin injury, a larger burden on his shoulders today.
Now, for the Houston Texans, it was a season that began with so much promise, and now it's pretty much mired in a 3-game losing streak, and the last 2 weeks especially have been tough losses for Houston to swallow.
Shaw throwing, ricocheted off Andre Johnson to Paul Oliver.
Gerard steps up, fires, Mike Sims Walker, knocked down.
Oh, he caught it! Oh, unbelievable! Mike Thomas, touchdown Jags, ball game!
A Hail Mary pass gets answered once every blue moon, Dan, but how do you get out from under a loss like that?
I think that's a really interesting question, Greg. It's going to be what we're going to be looking at closely, because that's a back-breaking loss and it's very deflating. We'll see if they can recover.
Now, there is no question the problem for the Houston Texans this year has been a defense that almost across the board has been horrendous.
Well, just look at those numbers right there. To be that far down, remember, they haven't played a game this year where they've surrendered fewer than 24 points. I think they're really surprising to be 4-5.
Time for the Home Depot Tools to Victory for the day.
Well, Matt Schaub, the quarterback, has got a real target in Andre Johnson. You can argue that this might be the best receiver in football. He is really a load, and a load that's going to fall squarely onto the shoulders of Darrelle Revis. Their matchup today, highly anticipated. Revis Island has a big-time visitor this weekend. And as we look at the tools to victory for Houston, yes, we almost have a problem. If they lose today, and when you look at the schedule they have remaining, the playoffs look a long ways away. And for the Jets, yes, they're 2-2 at home. They've got a chance to really enjoy some home cooking.
And for more Home Depot player stats, log on to CBSSports.com. The Houston Texans, the New York Jets. We continue from the Meadowlands after this word from your local station. for the fans here in New Jersey today. Plenty to shout about, but for whom? New Jersey native and state high school football Ryan Cushing here is a Houston Texan. His former college teammate and roommate Mark Sanchez leading the Jets. Best of friends going eye to eye here on CBS Next in Sony High Definition.
Into the end zone. Touchdown. The kick is on the way, and it is good. Santonio Holmes breaks free, and the Jets walk out of Cleveland winners in overtime.
Here at the new Meadowlands Stadium, heeding the call of head coach Rex Ryan, the fans have indeed come into the stadium, and maybe a tad earlier than usual, on a beautiful sunny day here in New Jersey. There's Rex Ryan, his team coming in with a record of 7-2 on the season. And they won the coin toss and deferred. Rex Ryan wants his team on defense first, so the Houston Texans will get their hands on the football to start the game. And there is the Houston head coach Gary Kubiak in his 5th season. And boy, when we talked to him, Dan, you could tell he is just a little beaten down the way things have gone the last couple of weeks.
Well, expectations were so high for the Texans after going 9-7 last year, their first winning season, and off to such a good start. Remember, they opened up, they were 3-1 on opening day. They hammered the Colts, and they did not see themselves at 4-5 after 9.
That's Jacoby Jones in the end zone for the Houston Texans, who are anxious to get this game underway and rid themselves of a tough loss a week ago against Jacksonville. We're underway. Jones from the 6-yard line. And buried before he can reach the 20-yard line. Drew Coleman leading the charge for the New York Jets. The Houston quarterback, Matt Schaub, missed a little practice this week with a knee. He says he's fine. 12 touchdown passes and 7 picks on the season.
Well, the good news about his knee is that it was a bursa problem where he had fluid on it. They drained it. He did have to be hospitalized, but it's not like structurally there's anything wrong with his knee. So he says it's no problem. We'll find out.
No one in the backfield and right from the shotgun for Schaub and the Houston offense. Running out of time and running out of the pocket to the 20 and slides down at about the 21-yard line. It is a young offensive line on the field for Houston, the most veteran 7th-year left guard Wade Smith out of Memphis. And the Texans sport the league's leading rusher in Arian Foster, and they need big plays from big play wide receiver Andre Johnson.
Well, they're a zone blocking offensive line that's going to be severely tested in passing situations today.
There's the matchup to watch today. Darrelle Revis on Andre Johnson. The give is to Arian Foster. And Foster stacked up at right about the 25, maybe forward to about the 25.5-yard line. Rex Ryan proud of his front three. They've been tough, led by the 2-time Pro Bowler Sean Ellis. Terrific linebackers in Thomas Scott, Harris, and Calvin Pace. And the big-time matchup on the outside in the secondary. Andre Johnson will be shadowed most of the time by cornerback Darrelle Revis. 3rd and 3. Foster, the lone back in the backfield with Schaub. A terrific receiver out of the backfield. Schaub outside. That pass tipped and incomplete. Play made on the outside by Antonio Cromartie. Kevin Walter was the intended receiver.
Well, that's the problem that you face when you play the Jets, is that, yes, you got Revis locking down to one side, but Antonio Cromartie on the other side. You can't have any better coverage than that. Walter unable to shake Cromartie. Long lead, out speed and feet.
Matt Turk, the ex-New York Jet, punting it away for Houston. Jim Leonard and Kyle Wilson are deep for the Jets. The short man, Leonard. Leonard across midfield. Running room. Inside the 40, inside the 35, and inside the 30-yard line. And a loose football. But it is whistled down just inside the 30-yard line, and it'll belong to the New York Jets.
Well, Greg referred to Jim Leonhard as the short man, and he is in many regards, but man, can he run. He has a great feel on punt returns. We couldn't see from that angle where the ball comes out. There's the elbow down, and he still has the football.
33-yard punt and a 30-yard return by Leonhard.
And again, you see why Rex Ryan, when he wins the toss, will defer on a consistent basis. He wants his defense on the field early to set the tone of the game. They give him a 3 and out and give the offense good field position.
Tony Richardson in motion. Sanchez to throw on first down outside, and he's got his man Santonio Holmes on the outside. Mark Sanchez, fond memories of these Texans, made his first NFL start opening day last year and came up a winner. 12 touchdown passes, 2 touchdowns rushing this season.
Well, the Texans have had problems at the corner position. They're very young, a second-year player, a rookie. The kitty corners, Sanchez and Holmes go right at the corner. That time Quinn, first play of the game.
Pick up 7 and 2nd and 3. Tomlinson. Just inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line. The Jets with a very good offensive line. Left tackle to Brickashaw Ferguson, one-time college teammate of Houston quarterback Matt Schaub at Virginia. For Sanchez to throw well, the Jets will have to run well. That means the 1-2 punch of Sean Green along with LaDainian Tomlinson keying the number 4 rushing offense in the league. There is the Brickashaw Ferguson. And now the Seminole offense, the Jets version of the Wildcats. Brad Smith. Calling the signals, he takes it and hands off to Tomlinson. And Tomlinson at about the 19-yard line. The Texans front 4 is led by Pro Bowl defensive end Mario Williams, who leads Houston with 5.5 sacks. Park Ridge, New Jersey native Brian Cushing on the outside. He's joined by Bentley and Sharpton at linebacker. And the youngster in the secondary, rookie Kareem Jackson, the first-round draft pick out of Alabama. There is Cushing. Loss of 1 makes it 2nd and 11. Sanchez pulls it down, takes another look, and throws it away to the near side. Pass intended for LaDainian Tomlinson.
Well, Rex Ryan asked the Jets and their season ticket holders and fans to get here early. He wanted this stadium filled for introductions, and they heeded him. They were here early. They made a lot of noise. We'll see if the Jets can get off to a good start. They've been slow starters. They've had to fight themselves back into games, and take a look at that. Not a touchdown in the last 5.
First quarter has not been kind to them the last couple of games. 3rd and 11. Sanchez over the middle, hits his receiver Dustin Keller in the chest, and it falls incomplete.
Well, Dustin Keller, the favorite of Mark Sanchez, and he didn't get to be the favorite by making plays like this very often. Totally surprised by the football. You know, Mark Sanchez had the calf injury last week on his right foot, on his right calf. Looks like he's able to plan on it okay. He says it's no problem in talking to him. Said it didn't bother him at all really this week, and it bothered him last week, but he came in and played well after the injury.
Nick Folk from 37 yards out. He's missed 3 of his last 4 field goals, but he makes that one. 37 yards out, 11:28 to play in the first quarter. The Jets with a 3-0 lead. Off the poor punt, the good punt return, and the field position, the Jets grab a 3-0 lead, just under 11.5 to play here in the first quarter. And there's Jacoby Jones set for the kickoff again.
And Greg, that field goal's got to be a disappointment. The Jets offense did nothing after that good punt return by Leonhard.
And Jones will return this one from his own 11. Just across the 20-yard line, hit hard by James Ahedebo, number 44. A reminder, you can build your own football dynasty and compete year-round with CBSSports.com franchise football. Find out more at CBSSports.com/franchise.
I wonder what would have been the result of that last possession if Dustin Keller wasn't surprised by that football that hit him right in the face mask. That could have gone for big yards.
First down. There's Andre Johnson and Darrelle Revis right with him on the top part of your screen. Here's the handoff to Arian Foster, and Foster breaks through to about the 29-yard line. A good, hard running back who has found his niche this year.
Oh, really? He came on for Houston the last 3 games of last season. He's really a one-cut back. In other words, he's not a stutter step guy. He's not a big bounce to the outside guy. He loves that zone blocking scheme in front of him where he finds a crease, you cut off a part of the defense, and he goes upfield in a hurry. But a big guy at almost 230 pounds.
He picked up 7, and it's 2nd and 3. Shaw. Quick pass out here to Andre Johnson, and Johnson barely across the 30 to the 31-yard line.
Well, one of the things the Texans are going to want to do is just not split Andre Johnson out to one side or another and make him an easy target for Darrelle Revis. Look for a lot of motion. A lot of times he's going to be in the slot, bunch formations. They're going to do a lot of things to try to help number 80 there lose number 24.
On 3rd and 1, 3 tight ends on the field for Houston. Foster going back. He's going to give it to Foster out of the backfield, up the sideline, running room across the 45, and spun down there by number 33, Eric Smith, but it's a first down for the Houston Texans. Matt Schaub couldn't say enough about Arian Foster as a receiver.
No, he's got good soft hands, and of course this is, it's a passing play, but it's as close to a handoff as you can possibly come, a little dump off like that, and you can see the Jets just totally lost track of Foster. But yes, he does have good hands, 33 receptions coming into today's game. He's good in space, and supposedly, and we'll find out today, a good blitz pickup guy.
Here's Foster again. Not much there. Sean Ellis plugging the gap. Arian Foster missing a couple of days this week because he lost his grandmother. Went out to the West Coast for her funeral and made it back in time for this game.
And Gary Kubiak said it's not really a problem. He's a very intelligent player. He missed Friday's practice, but he said he came back on Saturday and we went through the game plan, and he said it's like he never missed a thing. He was up to speed on everything from the mental aspect.
Lost a yard on the last play, 2nd and 11. This is Foster again. To about the 46. Arian Foster was undrafted, and he's in some pretty elite company.
Well, that's great production. Yeah, when you're in there with Willie Parker and Priest Holmes, who did it a couple times with the Chiefs. Gary Kubiak told us that I went to battle with Arian Foster every day last year. But keep in mind, a year ago at this time, Foster was on the practice squad, and now he's the NFL's leading rusher.
3rd and 10. Foster up the middle, and there's a flag down on the far side of the field as he is brought down at about the 47 or 48 yard line by David Harris. Jerome Boger, our referee today.
Well, that call by Houston can really go for big yards if that all-out blitz is coming and you happen to get past it.
Illegal formation, offense, only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Both wide receivers were off the line. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
So the Jets will turn that down and force the punt. Let's go back and take a look.
Well, again, you take a look at everybody up on the line of scrimmage, but look to the far side of the formation. Both of those receivers are back off. One of them had to be up on the line of scrimmage. That's just a miscommunication by the 2 wideouts.
Matt Turk trying to do better than a 33-yard kick his last time. Here's Jim Leonard. Leonard from about the 7, looking for running room, and slices his way through to about the 15 or 16-yard line. 7:36 to play, first quarter. A field goal on the board for Mark Sanchez and the New York Jets. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to New Meadowlands Stadium. There's Jericho Cotchery. A groin injury has him sidelined today. The Jets called up from the practice squad Patrick Turner, the second-year wide receiver out of USC. First down from their own 16-yard line. Sanchez with the give to Sean Green and running room up the middle for a couple of yards to about the 19. Sean Cody makes the stop for the Texans. And how fun was it talking to both Mark Sanchez and to Brian Cushing, two old friends, former teammates, and their families are here, good friends and sitting together.
Well, Brian Cushing so thankful that the Sanchez family really took him in, being a Jersey kid out in California for 4 years, and that they really made him a part of the family. And their home was his home, and he'll be appreciative the rest of his life for the real courtesy they extended him.
2nd and 7. Sanchez on the move, throws outside. Santonio Holmes with the catch on the sideline.
He got him down. Boy, at first blush, you're looking at that and going, is he going to be able to get the football and both feet down inbounds? Look at that footwork by Santonio Holmes. That is spectacular. His momentum and speed is carrying him out of bounds, and look at him get both of those down in the field of play. That is special.
First down at the 40-yard line for the Jets. And Sanchez has to call a timeout. Tony Richardson a little messed up on the outside here, flanked out as a wide receiver. Former Cincinnati Bengal Chris Henry died tragically last year, but a courageous decision by his mother allows him to live on in more than just a memory. A heartwarming story this Thanksgiving on the NFL Today. That's coming up Thursday. Is it tryptophan time already, Mr. Deardorff?
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. This is a wonderful week. Family, food, and football. Not bad. That's a good choice.
First down, Jets at their own 40-yard line. Sanchez pumps, throwing up the middle for Edwards, and it's off his fingertips, incomplete. Kareem Jackson and Troy Nolan contesting the pass.
Well, Kareem Jackson, the rookie corner, the #1 draft pick from Alabama, he's got the underneath coverage. And the ball hits Edwards in the hands, but watch coming in from, oh, well, the hit is early. Darn right. That's what the crowd is booing about. Jackson actually makes contact with Edwards before the football gets there.
And Edwards was just jawing with the officials all the way off the field.
He put a shoulder right into his rib cage prior to the arrival of the ball.
2nd and 10, this is Green. And that goes to the 41 before Mario Williams makes the stop.
Now that's one of those deals that looks much more obvious when you're watching it in super slow-mo versus when you saw it full speed, because looking at it in real time, it looked like good timing. But then when you look at it in slow motion, you see that he was there early.
There's Mario Williams, played against DeBrickashaw Ferguson in college.
That was a game back in 2003.
LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield, and Jackson Sanchez looking at 3rd and 9. Sanchez throwing, and that is complete, but only to the 45-yard line. Brad Smith is dragged down there, and the Jets will kick it away.
Well, Jason Allen making that play on Brad Smith, and Jason Allen recently with the Miami Dolphins just got picked up by the Texans last week, and here he is out on the field and contributing early.
Jacoby Jones back at his own 10-yard line for the upcoming kick from Steve Weatherford. And a good kick, too. Going to go out of bounds.
That's a beauty.
And let's see where they spot this. At the 5-yard line. Rex will like that one. 5 minutes even to play. First quarter. As you take a look at the average drive start you pointed out during the timeout, Dan, the Jets did a pretty good job of turning this field around.
When you start your own possession at the 16 and the resulting possession forces your opponents to start from inside their 5, good job.
Schaub out of his own end zone, down this near sideline for Andre Johnson, and it's incomplete with Revis covering him all the way.
Well, Matt Schaub told us that if I see 80 and 24 and 24 is on him, I just got to trust my guy to make a play. But that stutter move by Andre Johnson doesn't fool Darrelle Revis at all. And even if he was able to catch that, that would have been out of bounds. Revis defended the field of play completely.
You got to love Rex Ryan's sense of humor and talking about how people don't throw at Revis anymore. He says they know the answer to the test. Foster, left side, turning the corner and out to about the 10.
It's Matt Schaub having confidence in his guy, and if you don't have confidence in Andre Johnson, you're not going to have confidence in anyone. But, that little stutter, that little move there, that leaves a lot of corners flat-footed. You can see right there on that last play, Darrelle Revis not even the least bit taken by surprise by that move.
Meanwhile, Matt Schaub trying to chalk up some yardage. Texans come into this game 6th best in the league at chalking up yards per game, but they only have 38 so far today.
Well, they ran it the last time on 3rd down. Let's see what they do here.
On 3rd and 5, Schaub will throw. Coming to this side for his tight end, Dreesen, and he's got it for a first down. All the way out to the 30-yard line and a Houston first down.
And what a pretty pass by Matt Schaub, dropping it right onto the hands of Joel Dreesen, who's having to fill in for the injured Owen Daniels. Now, Dreesen saw a lot of playing time last year when Daniels was out with an ACL. But look at that. That is just a perfectly thrown ball. And Rodney Poole just unable to catch up to a tight end. That's a safety on a tight end. You wouldn't think a tight end would get that kind of separation.
Houston goes 5 wide again, and Schaub from the shotgun. Outside here, and that's complete to David Anderson. 5th-year wide receiver out of Colorado State.
Well, again, this is a drive for the Houston Texans that even if it doesn't result in points, already has been successful getting out of the shadow of your own end zone.
Once again, the field spread, 2nd and 7. And under pressure, Schaub gets rid of it. Vernon Golston, number 50, in on the Houston quarterback.
And I think even if he was deemed to still be in the pocket, he had a receiver close enough in the vicinity out there where he threw the football. And you can see Golston coming in, and Schaub still was in the pocket, but he had a guy within about 3 or 4 yards of where this football ended up, and that's enough to get the benefit of the doubt from the official. Well, maybe 5 yards. 3 to 4 might have been a little generous.
Jet fans on their feet, 3rd and 7. Schaub on the move, escapes the pass rush, throws over the middle, and he is picked off by Cromartie. No.
Antonio Cromartie had the ball, but he couldn't control it. He had it in his hands, but he could never firmly put it away.
Juggled it all the way out of bounds, it appeared. Let's take a look.
Well, look at Cromartie right now working on Walter, and here he's going to make it. Look at his closing ability, and the ball was thrown a little bit behind. It looked to me like if Schaub would have led Walter, he'd have had a completion, but he threw it behind him. And Antonio Cromartie just fighting to try to put the ball away. And this is a scenario where the officials will always rule against you if it's moving.
Much better kick by Turk this time. Leonard, fair catch made at about the 19-yard line. 2:43 to play. First quarter. Oh, Antonio, it might have been. With the new NFL.com mobile apps, you can stay in the game no matter where you are this holiday season. Go to NFL.com/mobile and download the apps today. Jets first down at their own 19-yard line. That's Damian Tomlinson straight ahead. And not much to be had there. There's been a little fire in the Houston defense so far today. There's LT going past Marcus Allen for 7th place all time in rushing attempts.
Well,
That's a lot of carries.
A future member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, passing a fellow who's already there. Some career for LaDainian Tomlinson that a couple years ago looked like was in its twilight. He has been dipped in magic waters.
The rookie John Connor in at fullback for the Jets. On second and 8, penalty markers fly as LT tries to turn the corner and belt it out of bounds at about the 26 or 27 by Bernard Pollard. Let's check the flag.
Offside, defense, number 96, lining up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Penalty is on Mark Anderson, fifth-year defensive end out of Alabama.
That's just not paying attention when you get your hand in the neutral zone. And that's the first thing a defensive lineman does when you take your stance. You immediately look at the football.
For Marty and Jim Leonard on the sidelines. LaDainian Tomlinson still in the backfield. 2nd and 2 for the Jets. Sanchez to throw. Pulls it down, and he goes down at the 20-yard line.
Well, Damian Lewis just found a crease in the Jets' offensive line, and boy, did he surprise Mark Sanchez. And that's, let's see who, there he is on the right side. Oh, and he just puts a move on Slauson. Fakes to the outside and then swims back to the inside and gets right by Matt Slauson. And again, Slauson, the first-year starter at left guard. And boy, he just whiffed on that one.
The Jets just don't give up a whole lot of sacks. Now Green and Tomlinson in the backfield, 3rd and 8. Sanchez stepping up, eludes the rush and throws incomplete over the middle. Mark Anderson again applying the pressure.
Well, you know, oh, and we've got an injured. Is that Damian Woody?
It is Damian Woody, the right tackle.
Ooh, and this Jets offensive line, Ferguson, Mangold, Moore, and Woody have shown amazing durability and play week in and week out. And Rex Ryan's got to be concerned. Let's take a look at his legs. Oh, right Oof. There. Oh, his right knee just gets buckled.
Tonight on CBS, for the first time, 2 teams may have to turn back. A new, amazing race after 60 minutes tonight only. CBS. Well, Damian Woody is able to walk off the field, albeit slowly, under his own power. Been around for a while. His 12th season out of Boston College.
Well, and you could see that hit that he took. His knee really flexed a great deal. You just hope that he's got loose ligaments and able to withstand that kind of pressure.
Jacoby Jones once again returning. And he's going to let it bounce. And it's going to roll with a little assistance.
Yeah, I thought that ball bounced off McKnight's leg, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought it did.
It looked like he kicked that ball forward.
Just short of a second punt. And it is going to be moved back upfield in favor of the Houston Texans. Here comes McKnight, number 25.
Yeah, right there. It hits his right knee, and Karum's way down the field.
That'd be a nice trick if you can get away with it.
Oh, I'm sure Weatherbird's going, hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mike Westhoff, special teams coach.
He said, hey, I appreciate your hustle getting down there, and just a bad bounce. Not much you can do about it, kicking back at you like that.
Not much offense today on either side. Houston with a first down now at their own 33-yard line.
Now the Jets' only 3 points was really courtesy of that punt return by Jim Leonard.
And this is the best field position Matt Schaub has had all day. Revis, Long Johnson, Marianne Foster. Left side slides down. We get our first update of the day from James Brown in New York, JB.
Hey, Greg, after spotting Tennessee a 7-0 lead, McNabb on 2nd and goal caps an 8-play, 79-yard drive with that 5-yard strike to Santana Moss. That knots it up at 7-all late in the first. Back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deardorff.
All right, James, thank you so much. 25 seconds to play here in the first quarter. Schaub on 2nd and 5, and again Foster, left side, turns the corner, has a first down up the sideline, and is knocked out just inside the 45-yard line. Rodney Poole with the hit.
It looked for a moment there like Arian Foster was expecting somebody to be there to knock him out of bounds, and they weren't there. He rounds the corner, and right there he kind of, you see him hesitate for just a second? He was expecting somebody there to be have some contain, and they didn't show up.
How about the blocking job by wide receiver Andre Johnson to help him out? That's the end of one. The score 3-0 Jets. Back after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, the Jets' first quarter woes as far as scoring touchdowns continue. They're now without a touchdown in the first quarter of their last 6 games. They hold a 3-0 lead. Arian Foster making his presence felt on offense. On first down, here he is. Knocked down at about the 41-yard line by Sione Bauha.
Well, the Jets talk so much about getting off to a quick start, getting the crowd into it. Right now, here at the New Meadowlands Stadium, the crowd is pretty much sitting on their hands. And I think they expected a little more of an explosion in the first quarter of this game than they've seen so far. It's easy to underestimate this Houston Texan team. It's easy to say they're better than 4 and 5, but they really are.
And around Jacoby Jones. Jones inside the 35 and trips up and falls forward to about the 35 once again to James Brown in New York.
Greg and Dan, Steelers get on the board after a 14-play, 85-yard drive. Running back Rashard Mendenhall with a 5-yard TD run, his 8th rushing touchdown of the season. Steelers on top 7-3 over Oakland in the second. Greg and Dan.
Boy, if Raiders-Steelers doesn't conjure up a whole bunch of memories, you're not a football fan.
How about Mendenhall? 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. Foster has 10 to lead the league.
First down, Houston. Foster again, dips to the outside, inside the 30 to the 25-yard line, and James Brown all of a sudden getting paid by the word. JB.
Hey, Greg and Dan, Peyton Hillis, think I heard his name. 10th total touchdown of the season. Take a look here. 11-yard reception from Colt McCoy. Good escapability by the youngster there. 16 plays, 92 yards. 7-3 Cleveland on top in the second. Greg and Dan.
Yeah, JB, I think people have begun to take notice of Mr. Hillis, haven't they?
I don't think he's sneaking up on anybody anymore. Of course, how do you sneak up on anybody at that size?
2nd and 4. This is Foster. You know, when we were talking with Arian Foster, we were talking about his motivation. He said, last year I was on the practice squad and I didn't like being on the practice squad.
No, but he learned what it was about to be a professional. And you got to give a lot of credit to the veterans on the team that worked with him. Gary Kubiak, who worked with him daily. He came out of Tennessee with a little bit of a checkered background and wasn't drafted, a complete free agent. But, you know, a lot of people never figure it out, and Arian Foster has.
3rd and 3. Schaub throws, Foster out of the backfield, first down and then some, out of bounds inside the 15-yard line to the 13.
Boy, there's a good look at those soft hands of Arian Foster. You know, that's one of those catches that you'll see a lot of running backs say they seem to have difficulty with it, but look how smoothly he catches this. Matt Schaub, just a little bootleg, but just look how cleanly just puts that thing away. And again, he's just such a powerful guy, but look how much of this game he's getting on the edge and on the perimeter of this Jets defense, either running it or in the passing game.
Derek Ward now spells Foster in the backfield. The give is to Ward, and Ward stacked up at about the 12. It's the longest drive of the day by either team.
Well, and it's been a really nice mix by the Texans in terms of Gary Kubiak calling the plays, but it's a nice mix of the run and the pass, and he's got the Jets a little right now unsure of exactly what's coming at them. And as you can see, Houston pretty successful in the red zone.
Yeah, the problem has been getting to the red zone.
That's it.
Shaw, all alone, looking, throwing to the goal line, and that is pulled in at about the 1-yard line by Joel Dreesen, the tight end.
Well, it's pretty apparent now one of the strategies for the Texans is not to go back in a conventional pocket and let Rex Ryan come at you with all these exotic blitzes.
And now Houston in a hurry up. Ward, not going to make the end zone. In fact, he'll lose a little yardage, courtesy of Jason Taylor, number 99.
And how many times have you seen that where an offense hurries, tries to get up there, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot by not running a clean play? And again, the Jets did a good job of, on short notice, getting organized, and Jason Taylor sets the edge and doesn't allow the play to get outside.
On 2nd and goal now, Arian Foster back into the Texans backfield. Foster, left guard, to the end zone, touchdown.
Well, that was the beefy lineup for the Texans, and behind fullback Vontae Leach, Arian Foster into the end zone. And boy, what a game he's had so far. But this is power football at its best. A good block there by Dreesen. In comes Leach with the hammer on Smith.
Mike Frizzell pulling from his right guard position.
And a good wall off and a good crease formed by the Texans offensive line.
Sanchez gets ready to go back to work. Meanwhile, Neil Rackers for the extra point.
That was a wonderfully executed drive called by Gary Kubiak.
Kick is good. 10-17 to play here in the first half, and Houston grabs the lead. First time today, 7-3 Texans. Scoring drive for Houston, ending up with Arian Foster's 2-yard touchdown run. We saw him on opening day, Dan, when Houston beat the Colts, and you never often hear of a running back manhandling a defense, but that's exactly what Foster did that day.
There was 200 and something. A lot of yards.
Brad Smith from the 6. And just across the 20-yard line before he's brought down at about the 22. 10 minutes, 10 seconds to play. That's Wayne Hunter coming onto the field to replace Damian Woody. As the Jets go back on offense, they do so without Damian Woody. His knee injury has him questionable to return today. Sean Green in the backfield behind Sanchez on first down. This is Green. Only about 12 yards rushing for the Jets, who come into the game number 4 rushing in the league.
Well, they have struggled offensively. That was their first possession where Dustin Keller gets hit in the face. Now this time that was interference on Braylon Edwards, but LT's got nowhere to go, and then the pocket completely collapses on Mark Sanchez as he goes down for the sack by Damian Lewis. And Rex Ryan's fast start has not materialized for the Jets here at the New Meadowlands.
2nd and 8, LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield. Sanchez trips and still got it away to Tomlinson. Out to about the 26-yard line. That had disaster written all over it and recovered nicely.
Yeah, it did. That's, unfortunately, you don't want Sanchez having to show off that athletic ability by stumbling. But as he drops back, he just catches, looks like he just caught his foot in the turf, but still delivered a serviceable ball to LT.
LT now passing Roger Craig in career receptions for a running back, 7th place. It's a decent career.
Not bad.
3rd and 5. Straight drop pass over the middle. Santonio holds running room. Penalty marker on the far side of the field. Holmes across midfield and knocked out of bounds. Let's check the flag.
Well, the slants are going to be there, I think, for the Jets all day, because these young corners of Houston are going to give Holmes in particular a lot of room. They're so afraid of the downfield move.
Illegal hands to the face. Defense, number 30. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is the first down.
The penalty is on Jason Allen, but Santonio Holmes, we talked to him, he feels he's just now getting into a rhythm after the 4-game suspension to start the season.
Boy, look at the blocks he got as he's cutting across. Take a look, there's Brad Smith, who comes in and he just drops Jason Allen. And there was one prior to that. His teammates were helping him out.
26-yard pickup. Brad Smith pitching to LT, and LT cuts it upfield inside the 35-yard line. We have penalty markers.
Yeah, they're going to get Braylon Edwards, Greg. They're going to get Braylon Edwards on a block that really caused that play to become a big play downfield. It was right at the point of attack.
Brian Cushing just slapping hands with his former teammate from USC, Patrick Turner.
I'm saying I can't.
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 17. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Here's Braylon Edwards. Now that's okay to that point in time, but then there's the block in the back. And, you know, that is really a tough deal, because Nolan actually, you know, he kind of turns as he goes to go upfield, but at that point in time, Edwards has to realize that I'm no longer blocking his front, I'm now blocking his back, and he's got to pull up. You got to pull up. You just can't go ahead and drive him into the ground, because that makes it easy for the official to call.
You see there how penalties have been hurting the Jets. First and 18. Sanchez going to go deep. All alone and overthrown is Santonio Holmes. And those are the two friends and ex-roommates in the Jet backfield.
And I'm sure Mark Sanchez right now is going, wow, I can't believe that ball ended up being too far. Now here's Santonio Holmes. He's going to just, you know, I don't know what the Texans were thinking. It wasn't even a double move. He just runs a simple post pattern. And there are the two roommates, Cushing on top of Sanchez.
Cushing told us they talk a couple of times a week, but not so much toward the end of this week.
And he said, we did talk a couple times this week, but it ended. Now we saw movement on the left side of the Jets offensive line, but the Texans came into the neutral zone. I wouldn't be so sure this isn't going against the Texans. If they were in the neutral zone and that's what made the Jets jump, that's a defensive penalty.
False start. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Still second out.
Well, the officials are saying the Jets moved first. Everybody was across the line that time, but DePrickashaw Ferguson, the guy that gets flagged for it.
Ferguson, the left tackle, number 60.
Oh, and he did move first. He did move first.
Second and 23. Jets making this into a cross-country adventure. Sanchez steps up, throws outside, got his man, and that is Patrick Turner out of USC, and that's complete. That's just inside the 40-yard line.
Well, that deep out pattern right beyond the corner in front of the safety requires one thing. It requires a quarterback with a gun for an arm. And look at that ball from Mark Sanchez. This deep out pattern, I'm telling you, as a quarterback, you got to get that ball there, and that was a laser from Sanchez.
3rd and 2. And the Seminole offense once again with Brad Smith calling signals out of the shotgun. Smith gives it to Tony Richardson. And Richardson, the fullback, looks like he has a first down at about the 37.
Well, and that's a tendency buster, because Tony Richardson just doesn't carry the football for the Jets.
That's his first carry of the season.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's a tendency buster. Mario Williams, number 90. Now his job, he gets in there and gets in on the tackle, but his initial responsibility is to set that edge not to get all the way down there at the point of attack. He did a good job getting in there, but he can't prevent that from being a first down. Well, that was some piece of work by the Jets, recovering from a 2nd and forever. What was it, 2nd and 28?
23.
23? A long way.
So Tony Richardson, fresh off his first carry of the season. 56-yard drive for the Jets as they finally get their offense into gear here with 6:50 to play here in the first half. Sanchez up the middle, got it inside the 15 to the 10. Braylon Edwards on another Jet first down.
And again, that's a matchup that the Jets have to love. Braylon Edwards going against Jason Allen, who just got here, claimed on waivers after he was released by the Dolphins, and a guy who's only had several days to get up to speed on the Texans defense. And that's just got to be a matchup the Jets have to fall in love with.
This pass defense of the Texans last in the NFL coming in. First and goal. Tomlinson diving inside the 5 to the 4.
Boy, and again, that was a shifty little move there by LT as he made Sharpton miss right at the point of attack. But running room has been tough to come by for the Jets running back so far. They have struggled to get any consistency in the running game. CLT, that's less than 3 yards a carry.
On 2nd and goal, quick slant, touchdown to Braylon Edwards.
And again, these Texan corners, if they're going to play off like that, they're just giving the slant away. Run it every down. If they're just going to sit back and give that much room, that's just playing pitch and catch. And Sanchez identifies it in a hurry, and that's like 7 on 7. That's like working against air. McCain just sitting back in the end zone. Not sure what he was going to defend back there.
Extra point is good. 5:18 to play here in the first half. Mark Sanchez headed right over to Fireman Ed. You're welcome. 10-7 Jets. Solid 10-play, 78-yard drive for the Jets. Braylon Edwards with the 4-yard touchdown catch. Mark Sanchez, his 13th touchdown pass of the season. 3-point lead for the Jets, and Jacoby Jones is deep. This will be Jones from about the 7. And tripped up before he can get to the 20-yard line. Sanchez, the touchdown pass, and then channels Bob Barker and tells Fireman Ed to come on down. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, the rest of our CBS Sports crew back at the new Meadowlands Stadium. 5:12 to play in the first half. The Jets off the touchdown pass from Mark Sanchez to Braylon Edwards, leading at 10-7.
That was 1-5 lid that guy was wearing. That was a good hat.
Shopping at Lids R Us. Arian Foster with the pitch, tries the left side, shakes one tackle and dives forward to about the 17. Want to remind you, still to come here on CBS, Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. More people watch the NFL on CBS than any other network. That's a pretty decent rivalry that's come about in the last couple of years.
Not bad. And the Colts, again, as usual, go into that game with a lot of injuries, but that's that next man up theory that they've had working for them for a while.
They got a lot of practice at it.
Yeah, they seem to get it done.
Matt Shaw with time, gonna go deep down the sideline for Walter and off of his hands. That's a catchable ball. Kevin Walter.
Oh, is he upset with himself?
Not as upset as the rest of his teammates in the huddle are going to be.
Well, you know, he's coming out of the shade into the sun, and you can see he's looking right back into the sun. And it's tough to tell how much of, if any, of a role that played. But it sure looked like he was looking right into the sun, and that was just a perfectly thrown ball by Matt Schaub.
And he had Darrell Rivas beaten on the far side. 3rd and 10. Schaub with time again. Crossing pattern incomplete. Intended for Jacoby Jones, and Antonio Cromartie was right along with it.
Well, let's go back to the big play that wasn't for the Houston Texans. And right there, you can look how strong the sun seems to be shining right into the helmet of Kevin Walter. Yeah, and I think that, yeah, he's making some reference. I'm sorry, but the sun was in his eyes, and again, that could have been so big for Texas.
Note to Texans, this side of the field's in the shade. Matt Turk. Leonard calls for the fair catch, and the Jets will start this drive in Houston territory at about the 48-yard line.
Well, the Jets put together a nice little scoring drive. Again, a slant there to Santonio Holmes, and then the deep out to Turner. And again, Mark Sanchez showing his arm, and then the touchdown. And again, though, the Texans have got to tighten up their corner play, or they haven't seen the last of Sanchez and the Jets receivers hooking up on slant patterns, making it look pretty easy.
Meanwhile, Andre Johnson just 1 catch for 2 yards today for Houston on offense.
And their corners have walked up now.
Sanchez, the pitch for Sean Green. Left side, turns the corner. And out of bounds at about the 40. Run out of bounds by Eugene Wilson as we come up on 4 minutes to play in the first half.
And good-looking running plays for the Jets so far in this game have been virtually non-existent. They have struggled for just about every yard that they've been able to come by on the ground. They've only got 27 yards, and Brian Schottenheimer normally able to count on a much sturdier and productive running game than this.
On 2nd and 4, Sean Green straight ahead to just inside the 40-yard line. There's defensive coordinator Frank Bush, and Gary Kubiak, the head coach, told us that he moved Frank Bush down to the field this week just to shake things up and to show the team that they're trying to do things a little differently.
Well, they've just got to show some defensive improvement. He's still talking to Ray Rhodes, his other defensive assistant, who's up in the booth. Nothing has changed. Bush is still calling the defense. He's just doing it down on the field.
3rd and 2. Green, first down yardage, and then some up the middle. Just inside the 30, and it'll be a first down for the Jets. 3 minutes to play in the first half.
Oh, nice crease that time for Sean Green as he's able to get into the second level. He's going to go right off right guard, following Tony Richardson, and then he cuts back and gets over left guard. And that's just some nice running and some good power at the end by Sean Green. But that was a nice job by the guys up front.
Remember, this is an offensive line operating now without Damian Woody. Wayne Hunter replacing him at right tackle for the time being. The pitch for Green. Hit hard before he reached the line of scrimmage.
Well, he had to avoid Mario Williams, who got way upfield way earlier than Sean Green was expecting. Watch Williams here. And again, he's just unblocked. And I'm sure Ben Hartsock, the tight end, was supposed to down block on Williams. You can't turn him loose.
2 minutes to play. 3-point lead for the Jets. Hey, don't forget, the Sprint Halftime Report comes your way next. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cower, all the latest NFL scores and highlights from around the league. They are standing by, wiping the crumbs from their mouths, feasting all day. Sean Green in the backfield, 2nd and 11. fake. Look out. Sanchez throwing up the middle. Incomplete on the slant end to Dustin Keller. And Sanchez was under pressure, and there's a marker down.
Roughing the passer. Defense, number 31. Helmet-to-helmet contact on the quarterback.
Bernard
15-yard penalty.
And
First down.
Gary Kubiak saying, what'd he do?
Well, you heard Jerome Boger say it was helmet to helmet. There's Pollard blitzing.
Yes, that it was.
Yep, he's coming in, and he is unblocked. Watch him. He's going to come in here from your left. And it wasn't a violent helmet-to-helmet hit. It actually looked like the helmet missed him, and it was more shoulder than helmet. The problem is Pollard was up in that neck and head area. If you're going to be that high, you're going to get called for it.
You cannot pick a piece of the turf off of a quarterback's helmet these days.
No, you can't. You cannot get above the shoulder pads with contact on the quarterback and not expect to get a flag.
So it's a Jet first down at the Houston 17. Sanchez throws to his left. LaDainian Tomlinson trying to turn the corner, and a penalty marker is down as Kevin Bentley made the tackle on the far side of the field.
Well, Kevin Bentley is having to play middle linebacker because this club lost their leader defensively in D'Amico Ryans. They lost Ryans a month ago, and that is such a void that the Texans they will struggle for the rest of the season and not ever be able to suitably replace D'Amico Ryans.
There is no foul for a horsepower tackle on the play. Second down.
A missed call.
Well, the flag was thrown for a horse collar, and then after a player conference, an officials conference rather, they decide to bring it back. Well, he started there, and then the hand slid off, and he dragged him down. That was awfully close to a horse collar. That penalty could have stuck.
Maybe a little pony grab. Second and 13. Sanchez throwing, caught this time by Keller. And Keller brought down at the 15-yard line. A pretty nice catch by the tight end.
Well, Sanchez and Keller are finally able to get together here in the first half after a couple of misfires. And the reason they got together, that was a sensational effort by Dustin Keller to elevate and go up and get that football. Remember on the first drive, he got hit in the face mask by a Sanchez pass. We saw just a couple plays ago where they miscommunicated.
Jets improving their third down conversion rate. 3rd and 9 with a minute 10 to play in the half. Sanchez steps up, pass out of the backfield, or not to the backfield, but to Santonio Holmes. Holmes wants a penalty. Not forthcoming. Jason Allen covered.
Well, I don't think there's any question that Holmes and his pattern coming out of there was disturbed.
You know, it was windy earlier in the week. And the kickers were out here testing the wind. There's absolutely no wind here today.
It is very still.
33 yards out. Folk is perfect. And with 58 seconds to play in the first half, the Jets stretch their lead to 13-7. Hey, tomorrow on television's #1 new show, a bank heist in broad daylight, and the suspects are multiplying. A new Hawaii Five-0 tomorrow only. CBS. You ever surfed, Dan?
No.
Me neither.
It would require a really big surfboard.
The frustration for the Houston offense.
No, that would, I'd need a surfboard about 6 feet wide. And I'd have to start with like a door, something like that.
I could surf if anybody wants to take the time to take the sharks out of the water.
You worry too.
Yes, I do. Jacoby Jones. Gonna reel this one in at about the 8-yard line. This time he gets running room right up the middle and out across the 30 to the 31-yard line.
Mike Westhoff He has been the preeminent special teams coach in this league for a long time. And the more you know him, the more you realize what a character he is. But he is so demanding. Remember, we talked to Brad Smith a while ago, and he said, man, my first couple of years, Mike Westhoff was in my face every day. I couldn't get away from the guy. He's very demanding, but man, you listen because he knows what he's doing.
That shot, that pass incomplete. Intended for David Anderson. 47 seconds on the clock. Houston with all 3 of its timeouts remaining. And again, Andre Johnson, 1 catch for 2 yards here in the first half.
And it's been mostly with Darrelle Revis covering, but as we saw, you know, on that Walter catch, that was Revis in coverage there. It hasn't been exclusive, but it's been 98% of the time.
Shaw, that one is complete across the 35 to about the 37-yard line to Johnson, and a timeout is called and stop the clock with 38 seconds, and the clock continuing to move. I think we'll put a couple of seconds back on the clock.
And talking to Rex Ryan and asking him about Darrelle Revis, and is he all the way back to what he was last year? And he said, yes, absolutely. You know, he had the problems early in the season with the bad leg and some awkward moments there after the holdout and injury. But he is now, he said, he is 100%. He is technically back to where he was last year.
And, there's no doubt this week, Rex Ryan was looking to light a fire under his team because, especially the defense, he just wasn't happy with the way they've been playing.
No, even though, statistically they're the 5th best defense in the NFL, but Rex,
not good enough.
No, Rex said, I guarantee you, we will finish the year, we will get to #1. That's the challenge I laid out.
3rd and 5. Shaw with time, running out of time now, on the move and throws, and caught by Johnson for the 42-yard line, and that would appear. Let's see if that's enough for the first down.
Boy, it was
timeout call to stop the clock.
Yeah, right at the marker, and now the spot looks like it is awfully close.
This
nice
is
job
pretty good pitch and catch.
No kidding. Look at that fingertip grab by Andre Johnson. He couldn't even corral it with his fingertips. He had to actually flick it back toward himself, and then he was able to make the catch. That was beautiful.
It's enough for a first down at the 41-yard line, and Houston now down to 1 timeout remaining with 29 seconds on the clock.
Matt Schaub, who's not really known as he's not like a Sanchez type guy with his mobility in the pocket, but he's spent a lot of time today getting to the outside effectively.
Shaw sets up the screen. This is Foster. Foster, midfield. Inside the 45, inside the 40. Clock continuing to move. 14, 13, 12 seconds to play in the first half.
Well, they're trying to conserve that last timeout, but a lot of times going up in smoke.
Shaw stepping up, throwing, incomplete. And that'll stop the clock with 1 second to play, intended for Johnson. And Revis right there with him.
They should have used the timeout and not burned this much time off the clock. Schaub misjudged how long it was going to take to get his team to the line of scrimmage. And here you are now with 1 second left on the clock and 1 timeout that you didn't get a chance to use.
So from just inside the 40-yard line. Last play of this half, here come the Jets. Shaw goes down at the 47-yard line, and that'll do it for the first half. Brian Thomas got to him. That's the end of the first half. Jets leading 13-7. Back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You are watching the NFL on CBS. Back at the new Meadowlands Stadium, we approach the start of the second half. The Jets with a 13-7 lead on Houston. The all-state points of protection thus far. Well, protect the ball. Nobody's turned the ball over yet. That's a good sign. Talked at the beginning of the day about how the Jets want to establish something here at home, protect the house. The Jets are 2-2 at home this season, and Arian Foster's been doing his part for Houston, 99 yards from scrimmage. As we welcome you back, Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. If I'm the Houston Texans, the fact that I'm on the road, I'm not feeling too bad about the state of affairs right now.
No, not really. They had the one really good drive where Kubiak called such a good one. They kept the Jets off balance. They just got to find another couple of those drives in the second half. For the Jets, I think it's really simple. They have not been able to run the football. This is a team that's averaging 150 yards a game. They've got 38 yards rushing at halftime. That's got to be very disappointing to both Ryan and Brian Schottenheimer.
And they're not just happy to run the ball. They hang their hat on being able to run the football.
Their passing game is based on play action. And again, I'm sure Rex addressed the fact that our rushing is woefully behind our standards.
There is Rex Ryan. And Gary Kubiak, his opposite number on the other sideline. That's like that football game at Wrigley Field yesterday where everybody heads in the same direction.
Well, that's wanting to play at a stadium pretty badly to have to do that.
Yeah, there's an idea worth forgetting.
Yeah, let it be another 70 years before they try that again.
Jets get the football first. Brad Smith from about the 12. 25 and up the sideline and knocked out at about the 35-yard line. So onto the field will come Mark Sanchez and the Jet offense, and this was his first half production. 10 of 16 for 115 yards and a touchdown pass to Braylon Edwards.
And I think maybe surprising, under duress several times, as Houston did a good job of collapsing the Jets' pocket, and Sanchez either going down or being disrupted and run out of the pocket a lot more than they would like.
LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield. And Sanchez can throw on first down. Under pressure, throws to the near sideline, complete to Santonio Holmes, and that's good for a first down. Let's look at some numbers from the first half.
And you can see in terms of total yardage, they're very even. First downs, possession, all those sort of things. But again, I think we touched on the really critical one, that the Jets and the running game just not where they'd like it to be. Damian Woody's still not in the game at right tackle, but good news is he came out after halftime. He's got a brace on his knee and, was moving around, looked like okay over on the Jets sideline.
Here's LaDainian Tomlinson. Not much there on the right side. Boy, Santonio Holmes, 4 catches for 67 yards. And talking with him this week, he attributes it all to all the work that they put in. He and Mark Sanchez spent a lot of time together in the offseason.
Well, after the trade from Pittsburgh, you're right. He went to California to work with Sanchez. He was surprised at how hard Mark worked physically and from the cardiovascular standpoint and in that heat out there. But you're right. They have logged a lot of hours on the practice field. And there's Damian Woody that I just mentioned. He's hobbled a little bit, but that's a good sign that he's walking around.
Quick drop, pass outside, incomplete, knocked down by Glover Quinn.
Oh, and Quinn got a great break on the ball on Santonio Holmes. He read that route all the way. Take a look, he peeks into the backfield, but then he's able to get and move in front of Santonio Holmes. I'd look at that and I'd consider a little out and up. A guy that's going to jump a route like that, especially a young corner. Quinn just in his second year.
So now the Jets with a 3rd and 10 at their own 47. Sanchez stepping out of pressure, on the move, gonna run for the first down, and he's got it for a first down.
Oh, a nice job of setting up his scramble with a couple of pump fakes. At that point in time, I think Mark Sanchez had already made up his mind to run, but he's going to freeze everybody with a pump fake. All right, he's forced out of the pocket. He doesn't want to have to leave, but once he's out, right there, that little fake right there, you saw how it affected the DBs of the Texans. Smart play there by Mark Sanchez.
His good buddy Brian Cushing helping run him out of bounds on the far side of the field. First down now at the Houston 41. Sean Green. Just inside the 40.
Well, one of the things that the Jets are doing, and Sanchez in particular, is that Mark Brunell at practice went out and bought some foam bats. And so Sanchez drops back, and then they just beat him up with these things, although I wouldn't call that a real hammering that he's getting. Hey, they're quarterbacks. Let me tell you, nobody touches a quarterback during practice. That's why they wear those red jerseys. That's as much contact as he sees all week long.
John Connor in the backfield. Sanchez throwing. Cole. First down inside the 30 to about the 28.
You know, that work in the pocket is just taking advantage of, you know, refining what Mark can do on his own. The guy's got great movement and awareness in the pocket. Look how nifty he is. People slide off of him. He's stronger than he looks. You know, he's 225 pounds. But his ability to move, to buy extra time when the pocket disintegrates is one of his really, really big assets. And then he makes good decisions after he gets out of the pocket. That's really critical.
Jets with a first down, and here comes Brad Smith, right side. Maybe a 1-yard gain as the Texans put the clamps on that one. Darryl Sharpton and Bernard Pollard with the tackle.
Well, Brad Smith getting a lot more action at wide receiver because Jericho Cotchery having to be on the sidelines in this game because of that groin pull that he suffered last week in that loss and in that overtime win against Cleveland, where he really came up with that big play, hurt, making the critical reception. And there's Cotchery over on the sideline, and that play he made hobbled, really a one-legged catch, was really something special. But Brad Smith, a lot more action this week because of that.
2nd and 9. Sanchez, play fake, rolling and running out of time and going down, courtesy of Mario Williams.
Yeah, Mario Williams, I think, going, no, you're not going to fool me with that. That might get some defensive linemen with that little juke at the end, but Mario Williams was having none of it. And he really got sucked to the inside, but look at the athletic ability there of Williams coming back and all the way. He had given up the corner, and Mark Sanchez is just not believing that he got trapped by this guy. But I got news for you, Mark. Number 90 is pretty good.
So now the Jets looking at a 3rd and 17 from the Houston 35. Sanchez dances out of trouble again. Looks downfield. Still looking, throwing, in and out of the hands of Jose Antonio Holmes at the 20-yard line. Covered by Kareem Jackson, the rookie.
And Santonio Holmes looks a little ginger as he gets up there. But again, look at Mark Sanchez just having great feel, buying time, moving, eyes downfield. And again, I talked about good decisions. Look at that nice ball that he delivers, giving Santonio Holmes a chance to make the catch. But Holmes, he's walking a little tenderly over on the sideline.
This is Nick Folk from 53 yards out. Kick is on its way and looking pretty good. And just short. Just short. And that'll give the Houston Texans terrific field position. They're down 6, 10:08 to play, 3rd quarter. Oh, Matt Schaub in the first half, 9 of 17 for 93 yards. No touchdown passes, but no picks either, as the Texans start with their best field position of the afternoon from their own 43-yard line. Play fake to Foster, and the screen to the other side. That's James Casey, the tight end out of Rice University. Meanwhile, on the sideline, they got that good field position courtesy of the missed field goal, and Mark Sanchez showing a little frustration on the far side of the field.
Well, you know, part of his frustration has to be that the integrity of the pocket for the Jets is just not there. The Houston defensive line is pouring in on Mark Sanchez. A couple times he's barely even able to set his feet before he's having to run for his life.
Foster. To about the 48. Boy, and on that last play, Andre Johnson flanked out to the near side of the field, had double coverage, and Andre says, double coverage isn't all that unfamiliar to me.
No, as in like every down. And he goes, I know even when Revis is locked up, you know, and it's single coverage, and more often than not, there is a safety over the top, whether they want to admit it or not.
3rd and 4. Shot with time over the middle, too low, intended for Andre Johnson coming across the middle.
And still Andre Johnson being held and limited by the Jets here to 3 receptions for a grand total of 12 yards. And that is really hamstringing the offense of the Texans.
He's only been held under 40-yard receiving twice in the last 2 years, 33 against Indy and 35 against these Jets last year. Jim Leonard, deep. And fair catch called for and made by Leonard just inside the 10-yard line at about the 8. Santonio Holmes having himself a pretty good day, but it's still 13-7 lead for the Jets. We'll be back. 8:44 to play in the 3rd quarter, and the Jets start deep in their own territory. Their own 8-yard line. They started off with Sean Green, right side, out across the 10 to about the 12-yard line.
Well, we've talked about Santonio Holmes and having a pretty good day so far. Great job there of getting his feet down. They had a couple of slant patterns early on in this ball game, but working the entire field. And again, what an addition he has been here for the New York Jets, and he seems to be running okay after the last series when it looked like he might have gotten nipped a little bit.
His 5 catches ties season high for him. Sanchez on the slant once again. Braylon Edwards, and that's across the 20 and a first down.
Well, the corners of the Texans have come up a little bit trying to deny that slant. You see Glover Quinn, but there's the physicality of Braylon Edwards. That contact within the 5 yards, Edwards being such a big guy at 6'3", he just really kind of discarded Glover Quinn and getting himself open to the inside.
So Sanchez with a little more breathing room now, out to about the 25-yard line. Running room, left side across the 35, and another first down for the Jets. Kareem Jackson making the tackle.
Well, and there is a rare big hole for a Jets running back. This time going right between Slauson and Ferguson. A good block by Tony Richardson, and he gets right by. Let's take a look at Brian Cushing. He gets in there and just misreads where he's supposed to fill. He just came in a little bit tight, and the RB got right past him.
So out to the 37-yard line. Sanchez pulls it down, and that pass over the middle is incomplete, intended for Green out of the backfield.
Now, that time Kevin Bentley, the middle linebacker, was all over Sean Green. That was really trying to force it in there by Mark Sanchez.
You referenced it earlier, Dan, but the loss of D'Amico Ryans deprived this Houston defense of a real leader on the field.
It deprived them of so much. First of all, his production on the field, but his leadership skills, his ability, you know, in many ways, kind of the emotional engine of the defensive unit here. You subtract a guy like that, and it takes a little bit of the wind out of everybody's sails.
2nd and 10. Pass outside here, intended for Holmes, is incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Not sure if Holmes was late coming out of his break, but that was a timing pattern, and Mark Sanchez just expected Holmes to be a lot farther to the outside than he was. Again, here we go now, 3rd and long, and this is where the pocket of the Jets has been breaking down. The Houston defensive line and linebackers have been winning this battle.
Sanchez got it away, and Tomlinson eludes a tackler, has the first down, and into Houston territory, out of bounds at the 46.
Boy, look at the emotional energy being supplied by the old guy. 31-year-old LaDainian Tomlinson still has got some juice in those legs. And that was a four-man rush by the Texans. And it's going to be a good job this time of giving him a pocket. Mark Sanchez is able to stay there, but that move right there on Bryce McCain. Check it out. Yes, I still have it.
So Sean Green into the backfield now, and he takes the handoff, shakes a tackler, and is down at about the 41. Under 6 minutes to play here in the third.
You know, with the injuries, the toe back in 08 and then the ankle last year, I think just a lot of people thought that LaDainian Tomlinson was never going to be a real force for a football team again. It just, when you went a couple years without watching his production slide like that, this is so wonderful to see him back on top.
2nd and 7 from the 42. This is Sean Green, tripped up just as he took the handoff. May have bumped into his fullback, Tony Richardson.
Well, Tim Jamison was upfield, and I don't think that Tony Richardson was expecting to have to take on a defensive end that far into his own backfield. And obviously, Sean Green wasn't expecting it either. Jamison way upfield. Good play on his part.
So Sanchez looking at a 3rd and 6. And we get a whistle. And some Nudnik running downfield.
It has been years since I've been covering a game where we've had a moron run out on the field. And it's been a delightful number of years. That is so incredibly stupid.
As I'm sure he will be able to deduce for himself over the next few hours.
Yeah, as he spends it in jail, which is right where he ought to go. And he most certainly will.
So the players get a little break on the field with 4:56 to play here in the third quarter.
That never happens where I don't think back to the old footage of Mike Curtis, the old Baltimore Colts middle linebacker who just clotheslined the guy who ran onto the field back in the 60s. That was called instant justice. There's Damian Woody, and I'm sure it'll be a question as to how severely that knee of his is hurt.
Some numbers on the day as you look at Matt Schaub and Mark Sanchez thus far. Foster versus Sean Green. And Andre Johnson and Braylon Edwards. 3rd and 6 now for the Jets. And LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield behind Sanchez. Slant. Holmes. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Jets.
Same play as overtime against Cleveland, just the other side of the field. And Mark Sanchez and the slant patterns to either Holmes or Edwards have been just killing the Houston Texans. And you can see right there, Bryce McCain not even able to stay on his feet. And then Troy Nolan not able to make the downfield tackle.
This Houston pass defense dead last in the NFL coming in today. The extra point looked like someone may have gotten a hand on it, still went through the uprights. 4:38 to play in the third quarter. And Sanchez to Santonio Holmes clicks again. The Jets with a 20-7 lead. The Jets with a little breathing room for themselves, extend to a 20-7 lead. 9 plays, 92 yards. Santonio Holmes caps it with a 41-yard touchdown reception. Jacoby Jones from the 2. And back to the 15 and no more. On the sideline after the touchdown, Rex Ryan. Who says the coach can't elevate? Check this out. Jets with 17 unanswered points. Matt Schaub goes back to work on offense with time. Going to throw down this near sideline and tipped by Jim Leonard. Pass intended for Andre Johnson.
Boy, there's a situation where 5'8" Jim Leonard wishes he was 6'2", because he tried to get up there on that thing. Jim Leonard makes all the calls in the Jets secondary, and there's Bryce McCain, number 21 there, the second-year corner for the Texans that got victimized there by that really good slant pattern by Santonio Holmes.
Shaw sets up the screen. Foster out of bounds.
Now Mike DeVito, boy, he sniffed that thing out. Man, defensive linemen are just supposed to be dummies running after the quarterback. They're not supposed to be able to read stuff like this. Watch DeVito there, number 70. He senses it already. He saw Foster head out there, and there he is right in his face. Mike DeVito, one of the guys that Rex Ryan quick to point out after Chris Jenkins goes down. DeVito and Boua, Ellis. These guys are playing solid football in the middle for the Jets.
Jet fans on their feet. 3rd and 15. Shaw, sideline, incomplete. Intended for Jacoby Jones, covered by Antonio Cromartie.
And Jones just loses his footing and goes to the ground.
And because of the staunch defense, Jets with a chance to get some terrific field position out of this one. Jim Leonard, Kyle Wilson deep. Matt Turk's kicking has been spotty at best today.
Yeah, very inconsistent, and it has been for a couple of weeks.
Right hip injury.
Yep.
That he's been battling. This is Wilson at the 43. Shakes a couple of tacklers, runs into his own teammate, and forward progress is going to be marked at the 45-yard line. Mark Sanchez going back to work on offense. He and the Jets lead it 20-7. Hey, this week, Dave's All New with Jerry Seinfeld and Medal of Honor recipient Staff Sergeant Al Junta. Plus tomorrow, Jessica Simpson, followed by Craig Ferguson only. CBS, the Wildcat formation. Brad Smith took the snap. LaDainian Tomlinson with the handoff, and he's to midfield.
Well, again, Santonio Holmes has had a very active day today, but it's been going on for quite some time. This against the Detroit Lions. And then that slant pattern I referenced on the other side of the field, the game winner against the Browns last week. And here's that same pattern on the far side of the field. And Holmes-Sanchez, quite a combination recently.
At midfield now on 2nd and 5, Sanchez calling signals. Going to give it to Tomlinson. And Tomlinson straight ahead, short of 1. You know, and Santonio Holmes, you know, he was, as he was saying, Dan, he's about 4 games behind everybody else through his own fault, the 4-game suspension at the start of the season.
But look how he's come on the last 3, and he's got his sea legs under him. He's up to speed, and the chemistry is very apparent. The timing with Mark Sanchez. And like the Jets don't have enough weapons already.
3rd and 1. LT. Cushing grabbed him and kept him from reaching the first down at the 45.
But it's just been a very sporadic running game for the Jets today. Brian Cushing unblocked into the backfield, and LT just nowhere to go.
Just passed Edgerrin James for 6th most all-time in rushing attempts.
And let's face it, every game LaDainian Tomlinson plays for the rest of his career, graphics like that are going to start flying up on the screen because he's just inching his way up in rushing and receiving categories with some of the all-time games greats.
Once again, Jacoby Jones deep for the punt. From Weatherford, nice high floater. Fair catch called for and made at about the 9-yard line. I want to remind you, coming your way once we wind things down here, Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts. A red-hot rivalry going with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Our doubleheader game here on CBS, where more people watch the NFL than any other network this season.
And I tell you, the Patriots at 7-2. Defensively, they are so young. But Bill Belichick, I'm not sure he's ever done a better job of coaching than he has this year with this addition to the Patriots, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Once again, starting deep in their own territory. Here's Foster, running room. Across the 15, lost the football. It is out, and who's got it?
Jim Leonard, I think.
Jim Leonard it is, number 36. I believe there's been a turnover sighting, Dan.
Yes, there hasn't been a turnover in this game, and there was an intentional strip of that football. Let's take a look at who it was that strips it away. Watch this. Is it Mike DeVito, number 70? Yep. DeVito comes hammering in there, and he gets that right hand on the arm of Arian Foster. Right here, see him get in there? He hits him on the back of the elbow, and that was enough to jar the ball loose. Now, you wouldn't think that would be enough to get it away, but Foster's got the ball away from his body. Foster did not have that ball clutched in there tightly.
Prime field position for the Jets. Play fake. Sanchez outside. Complete to Richardson. Penalty marker is down in the secondary.
Well, Tony Richardson had a lot of separation there. How did he get it?
Jerome Boger.
Illegal contact, defense, number 51. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Darryl Sharpton, the rookie out of Miami.
Well, how are you going to have illegal contact and have the guy still be that open unless it's on somebody else? Oh, there it is. It's the illegal contact was on Santonio Holmes after he was more than 5 yards downfield.
And there is Mike DeVito, and as you pointed out, Dan, Rex Ryan is just very, very liberal with his praise of Mike DeVito.
You know, before that play, we saw him ruin the screen. Quite a little run there for Mike DeVito.
8 Jets first downs this quarter compared to none for Houston. Sean Green to the 15. And Arian Foster having his right arm looked at on the sideline.
Well, that was not a real hammering blow that he got from Mike DeVito. That was just poor technique on Foster's part in not protecting the football. He just had it too far away from his body, and it didn't take much to jar it loose.
Jets looking to convert the only turnover of the game into points. Pass outside, Dustin Keller brought down at about the 12-yard line by Jason Allen. And with that, time will run down in the third quarter. They will exchange ends, much like they do at Wrigley Field.
Every possession.
We've come to the end of the third. The Jets leading it 20-7. We're back after this message and a word from your local station. Back for the start of the fourth quarter with our producer Mark Wolf and our director Bob Fishman and our terrific CBS Sports crew, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf. Welcome back to the Meadowlands and the NFL on CBS, where more people watch the NFL this season than any other network. The Jets, 3rd and 5 at the 12-yard line. Tomlinson in motion. Sanchez, quick pop over the middle, and that is incomplete inside the 10, intended for Dustin Keller.
Man, it seems every attempt between Keller and Sanchez today has just looked a little bit off.
And this was the combination that was clicking to start the season for the Jets.
Absolutely. Remember, Braylon Edwards accused Mark Sanchez of having Dustin Keller on his fantasy team and going to him exclusively.
Nick Folk from 30 yards out. He's been good from 37 and 33. And this one is good as well. So just 9 seconds into the fourth quarter, the Jets stretch their lead to 23-7 over Houston. People have been wondering whether or not the Jets have been loosening the bonds for Mark Sanchez on offense. Yes, they have.
I mean, take a look at that. They ran the ball 60% of the time last year, a real imbalance. But take a look at it this year. They've actually thrown the ball 5 times more than they have rushed it. And that is, yeah, Thomas Jones is gone, but that is really the comfort level and how it's risen with Mark Sanchez.
Jacoby Jones will take this kick for the Texans at the 6. And once again, Jets special teams all over the Houston Texans.
Well, we've had one turnover in this game, and it was a forced fumble by the Jets, but they have been doing it all season long. The Vikings, there it goes. The Buffalo Bills, they do it. And then they do it with Denver. And again, they have just been hammering the football loose on a consistent basis. And not only when it's loose, they recover it. And as you can see, they've recovered more fumbles than any team in the league.
On first down, Shaw over the middle. Caught by Dreesen. And Dreesen across midfield and into Jet territory at about the 47 or 48-yard line.
Boy, Eric Smith is right there with Dreesen. And then when the ball's in the air, Dreesen looks like he gets a nice little push off and gets a little separation from Eric Smith.
And Schaub and the Texans going into a little hurry up.
As well they should.
Schaub out here to Foster. Oh, what a move. Still on his feet and out of bounds. Boy, Matt Schaub said the thing about Arian Foster as a receiver, he almost always makes the first guy miss.
Well, he made the first guy miss, Kyle Wilson. Then he makes the second guy, Darrelle Revis, miss as well. There's the first miss. Now it's going to be 24's turn. Whoop, he gets nothing. There goes Arian Foster. 2 cornerbacks. The closest they came was Revis got his left hand on his thigh.
And just like that, Houston is at the Jet 33. Here come the Jets. Shaw got rid of it. That's complete inside the 25 to the 20 is Kevin Walter.
Well, now Matt Schaub is bringing them into the huddle, and now he calls it. He's calling him into the huddle, man. I'd have kept him going up to the line of scrimmage. That was working. You had a little mojo going there. I'm not sure I'd have stopped it.
First down at the 20. Shaw under pressure, got rid of it and bounced it to Foster on the outside, incomplete. Trevor Price just into the game and making his presence felt.
Well, Trevor Price has a long history with Rex Ryan, and Ryan was thrilled to pick him up, and you can see him. He goes flying through there, and Schaub got hit up in the head. Boom. And that should have been a penalty. That is if the official would have seen that, he'd have flagged that. That is illegal.
The pitch for Foster. Foster spinning at the 20. And down there, courtesy of Darrelle Revis. And with that, we take you to James Brown in New York. JB.
Hey, Greg, take a look here at the quarterback, Brian St. Pierre. What a play this is to David Geddes, an 88-yard scoring play. Last week, as we all know, a stay-at-home dad. This week, an NFL quarterback with a nice play on his resume. Bill Cowher pleased about that. Back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf.
All right, James, thank you. Shaw looking at a 3rd and 9. Throwing for the end zone down the sideline, and an incomplete, knocked down by Revis. was intended for Andre Johnson.
And Jim Leonard over there as well, but that's the confidence that Matt Schaub has in Andre Johnson. There he is, locked up one-on-one. Darrelle Revis turning around, trying to find the football. That's one of Darrelle Revis's strengths. Look at him looking at the football. You can't tell right there who's the receiver and who's the defender.
Andre Johnson never had a step on the defense.
No. So many corners you see, they don't know where the football is. That was textbook.
Neil Rackert from 38 yards out is good for the first time in a long time. Houston with some points on the board. As we welcome you back, we saw some life out of the Houston offense, and now you know the Texans are going to want to see a little production from their defense, maybe even forcing a turnover to get them back into this football game. Brad Smith is deep. Low kick, bouncing. Smith corrals it at the 7. And he's down at about the 21-yard line. Jason Allen with the tackle. Jets back on offense after this. Welcome back, everyone. Tuesday on CBS. An NCIS safe house is attacked. Now the hunt is on for a traitor. Mark Harmon stars in TV's #1 show, NCIS, Tuesday, only CBS. The Jets from their own 21, Sanchez with the screen. LaDainian Tomlinson gets a block out across the 25 to about the 28-yard line.
Nice call there by Brian Schottenheimer, trying to get something going because the running game for the Jets has just not been there today. So get the ball into your running back's hand and do it another way if you're not going to be able to get it done with a conventional running game. You got to wonder how much longer Brian Schottenheimer is going to be the offensive coordinator here before he ends up being somebody's head coach.
2nd and 2. Tomlinson straight ahead for a first down, and we go straight across the pond to James Brown. JB.
Hey, Greg and Dan, and the Steelers have expanded their lead to 25 over Oakland. Take a look at Ben Roethlisberger, 2nd and 8, hooking up here with Mike Wallace. It turns into a 52-yard pass play. Second touchdown toss of the day for Roethlisberger. 28-3, Steelers over Oakland. Back to Greg and Dan.
All right, JB.
I never thought that 3-0 lead of Oakland's was going to hold up.
There's Brian Cushing. Things aren't going quite the way he had hoped so far. First down, Jets, their own 33. Sanchez to throw. Over the middle, Tomlinson running with midfield. Cut down at about the 47-yard line, maybe the 46. That's another Jet first down.
Well, Eugene Wilson finally puts a hit on LT, but he comes out of the backfield and he is totally left alone by the Texans. And that's a good open field tackle by Eugene Wilson. But again, a nice job by the Jets of getting it to a running back without handing it off to him.
Clock continues to move as we come up on 10 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. And Sean Green replaces LT in the backfield. Pitch to Green. Left side. Dodges a tackler and gets bounced out 41 by Darryl Sharpton. I mentioned to you during the timeout, Dan, it feels like Brian Schottenheimer is just having a ball calling one different play after another, and he's got the whole ball of wax going.
Well, as an offensive coordinator, when you are entrusted to develop a quarterback, and a high drafted quarterback, Sanchez with the 5th pick last year, what a delight it has to be to develop that guy and to see him grow the way Sanchez is growing. That has to be part of the process. It's very enjoyable from a coach's perspective.
Green, this time he gets buried. Lost ball, picked up by the Texans. Number 57, Kevin Bentley with the football.
And there's a fast lane to Rex Ryan's doghouse, putting the ball on the ground.
And what did we say about Houston needing to make something happen on defense?
Sean Green, he's got it, tries to spin and go away, and as he did, Brian Cushing was able to dislodge the ball. But you wouldn't think that, being up that high. And looks who, after the ball gets picked up, did you see who stuck his nose in there to make the tackle?
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez.
Only the 5th lost fumble by the Jets this year. Good field position now from the 43. Blitz is picked up. Shaw wide open is Dreesen. Dreesen 10-5 touchdown Houston. Matt Shaw got decked after he let that ball go.
And I don't think you'd want to put a blood pressure cuff on Rex Ryan right now. You can see right there the defense, Antonio Cromartie. I'm not sure that he had the outside, but he certainly rode the inside and came back to try to get in on it. But confusion in the secondary. And Matt Shaw just trips over Eric Smith and ends up going down. Landed kind of awkwardly, but wow. How's that for a quick turnaround?
10 points in the last 2 minutes, 53 seconds for the Houston Texans, and they tighten it up again with 9:14 to play in the 4th. It's the Jets 23-17. Back at the new Meadowlands Stadium. 9 minutes, 14 seconds to play in a game that wasn't all that close a few minutes ago. 23-17 Jets. Brad Smith from the 4. Across the 20. Penalty marker is down. Matt Schaub wants to make the call from the Houston sideline.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, illegal wedge on the kickoff, half the distance from the goal. The Jets keep the ball. First down.
That's the first time we've seen that this year, Dan, the illegal wedge.
Yep, you can only put your shoulder up the guy next to you, but then there's got to be separation to the next group. You can't form. It's all about player safety. Mike Westhoff not happy with that. Let's see what the Jets do. Right. See, you can have 2 groups of 2. Yep, there they all go. No, that's the old-fashioned way of doing it. You can have 2 guys together and 2 guys together, but they can't merge like they did right there.
So the Jets have to start from their own 9. And that's a boost to the Houston defense. Sanchez. Brought down back at the 5 by Mario Williams.
Boy, and that was close to having a football being loose. You saw Mark Sanchez standing back in that pocket, and you could see Williams coming around the corner. He doesn't give up. Here he comes, and just as Mark Sanchez brought that ball back with his right arm, Williams came in from the left side. If he'd have come in from the right side, might have been problems.
He'd have gotten there sooner if a teammate hadn't bumped him a little out of his path.
Again, he's working against Wayne Hunter because Damian Woody's out of the game.
Season high 3 sacks for Sanchez. Fake the pass, give it to Tomlinson, and Tomlinson out to the 14-yard line.
And we talked a little bit ago about the balance now that the Jets have offensively. Greg, last year in that situation with Sanchez being a rookie, there's no way they'd have thrown the ball and attempted to throw the ball on first down. That wouldn't have happened.
Well, Brian Schottenheimer told us that our run numbers are different this year because last year we had a rookie quarterback.
That's exactly right, and they were protecting him. They're not now.
3 out of 6 on 3rd down for the Jets. This half, Sanchez running out of time, and he's going to run the football. Has a first down across the 20 and out to about the 23 and 24-yard line.
And no hook slide for Mark Sanchez. I think he found himself moving with so much forward lean that it might have been tough to get back into it. Almost tripped up. Again, this guy is such a good athlete. But put that ball away. That's where he has gotten better this year, is in that ball security. He loves to get it away from his body. He's got to fight to bring it back in.
Tomlinson stoned at the 24. And again, both Sanchez and Cushing, a lot of conversation about them this week. Their families sitting together at this game.
Well, they're friends for life. A Southern California kid and a kid from New Jersey that just found each other in California, and we touched on it in the first half. Brian Cushing will just always be so appreciative of what the Sanchez family did for him.
Sanchez throw on second and 10. He eludes Mario Williams and throws on the run, and that's incomplete.
Well, all of a sudden, Mario Williams is becoming a disruptive force. And this has got to be disappointing in this game. How many times Mark Sanchez has been flushed from the pocket? How many times he's been put on a, he's been sacked, but it's really the fact that his pocket is disintegrated on so many occasions. He's been sacked 3 times.
This now a big 3rd and 10 defensive down for the Houston Texans. Sanchez pulls it down, throws outside, and that's incomplete off the fingertips of Brad Smith. And Mario Williams was in on Sanchez once again.
Well, Mario Williams, they're flipping him from side to side, and this time he puts a bull rush on Wayne Hunter and Hunter stays with him and is able to route him around there, where Sanchez just has to take 1 step. But again, he disrupted the footwork of Mark Sanchez.
Nice kick from Weatherford. Backs Jacoby Jones up to about his 18-yard line. Turns the corner and knocked out of bounds just about the 25-yard line.
Well, coming into this game, everybody talking about the matchup between Darrelle Revis and Andre Johnson, and this is a marquee deal right here. And Darrelle Revis has been doing a good job, to say the very least. Again, Andre Johnson can't shake him. When they played last year, he limited Johnson to 4 receptions for 35 yards. Today, you can see 3 receptions for 12 yards. Andre Johnson came into this game with 52.
That greatly enhances your chances of winning.
Yes, but they're 1 possession away from losing that lead.
Shot. That pass caught by Kevin Walters. And Jets say it's their football, but it isn't. It's ruled down at the 30-yard line.
Well, Drew Coleman is in there fighting for the football. And he and Walter were having a little tussle over the pigskin.
Second and 7. Welcome to those of you joining us here at the new Meadowlands Stadium on 2nd and 7. Matt Shaw pulls it down a couple of times and throws it complete across midfield to David Anderson, and he's knocked out of bounds. 5:15 to play in the 4th quarter. Not so long ago, the Jets were in charge in this game, but the Houston Texans have come roaring back. They're within 6.
Well, the Jets overload the other side of the defense. Schaub rolls away from it, and there's no one from a pass rush perspective anywhere near Matt Schaub, and he is just standing out there. You know how long this took to develop? And Anderson was so close to going out of bounds.
35-yard pickup, play fake, Schaub looking this side of the field. There's Andre Johnson. Johnson inside the 20 to the 15-yard line.
Well, again, Schaub, by moving around, is buying all sorts of time. And there's a good look at Andre Johnson being physical with Revis, but Revis had to spin around, and that cost him the distance and the coverage.
So now, Houston at the Jet 15, just under 4.5 to play. Schaub, Foster shakes the first tackler, stumbling forward close to the 10-yard line.
And By and large today, the Jets defensively have not had much of an answer to Matt Schaub and his rollouts. He is getting outside and he is getting the edge on the Jets defense. It's buying him a lot of time to throw the football.
We are under 4 minutes to play. 2nd and 6. Texans trying to shake a 3-game losing streak. Foster to the 5. Inside the 5, it'll be 1st and goal for Houston. Jim Leonard made the saving tackle.
And this looked like a football game that was well in hand until Sean Green fumbled. And the Texans immediately converted that into 7 points. And what was comfortable at one time is now excruciatingly uncomfortable for the Jets.
1st and goal, Houston from the 2. Arian Foster and Vontae Leach in the Houston backfield. Foster to the goal line. No touchdown signal.
Matt Schaub was falling down when he made that handoff to Arian Foster. And look, he probably got his foot stepped on by one of his offensive linemen as he was trying to back out of there and pivot to make the handoff. He's lucky to get that in there.
2.5 to play. 2nd and goal. Foster reaching for the end zone. Touchdown is ruled on the field.
Oh boy. This will be interesting to see where his knee went down in relationship to stretching out with that football. Let's take a look at it.
Well, his elbow is on the ground before he reaches. Watch his left elbow.
There's the
right
elbow,
there.
but then where was the football? From that angle.
New York is challenging the rule of the field of a touchdown.
Yeah, that's no surprise.
Yeah, because it's outside 2 minutes, it doesn't go to the replay booth. It's up to the coach. The question is, where does this left elbow hit the ground?
This is going to be a pretty tough call for referee Jerome Boger, and we'll show you why with a camera right on the goal line.
Yeah, here comes his left elbow right there. And I'm telling you, from this angle, it looks to me that when his left elbow touches, the nose of the football actually penetrates the beginning of that goal line, which is all it has to do to be a touchdown.
After reviewing the play, the rule on the field stands. Touchdown.
So Arian Foster and the Houston Texans have tied this game at 23.
And I don't think there's any question with the ruling on the field having been a touchdown that Jerome Boger saw anything conclusive enough to reverse it. And that, by the way, by the linesman there who was working the goal line, that was a heck of a job of awarding a touchdown to the Texans. That was a bang-bang play, and he got it right.
Those of you who recently joined us, the Jets had scored 20 unanswered points to lead 23-7. Then Houston has now scored 13 straight, and now 14 straight to take the lead. 24-23 with 2:18 to play in regulation.
Well, it's been quite a second half here at the New Meadowlands, and a lot going on. Now, Santonio Holmes runs a slant pattern, and, you know, it's now looking like the Jets are pretty comfortable in where they are. But then this fumble as Sean Green is stripped of the football. Man, what a turnaround that started, because Schaub comes back. He completes this one to Greason, who is left completely alone by the Jets defense. And then the Texans come right back, and Arian Foster stretches out, and what was a 23-10 Jets lead quickly becomes a 1-point Jets deficit.
Foster's second touchdown of the day, and Houston scores 17 points in the last 10 minutes and 3 seconds to grab the lead.
Boy, what an avalanche that fumble by Sean Green has started. Well, we've talked about the maturity and the growth of Mark Sanchez. This is going to be a stage where he's got a chance to really show us how far he's come.
Losing that challenge, the Jets are down to 2 timeouts. Brad Smith deep. A couple of yards deep in his end zone, he'll run it out. 20, 30, 35-yard line, and a fine return by Brad Smith. And penalty markers down
flag
on the near sideline as we get a little pushing and shoving.
Yeah, you can see number 75 is Robert Turner, who was over there in the Houston bench.
And
He's part of the kickoff return team.
Whoever this is on, it's kind of a dumb time to do this.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, receiving team, number 75. 15-yard penalty. The Jets keep the ball. First down.
That wipes out a pretty good return by Brad Smith and makes a tough job even tougher for the Jets offense.
Well, Turner's a backup offensive lineman.
That's just not smart football.
Well, he's making the block right there, and he he just keeps going. He's on Bryce McCain, and he just keeps shoving him and pushing him and blocking him when they're about 5-6 yards out of bounds.
His first indicator should be he's surrounded by Texans. That's just a dumb play. It sets the Jets back to their own 23. Sanchez eludes the rush, throwing deep down the middle of the field and overthrows Braylon Edwards.
That's twice today Mark Sanchez has had a receiver open deep. He overthrew Santonio Holmes in the first half. And this time Braylon Edwards, again, he's just a deep stem and then a little skinny post back to the inside. And just a little too much air under the football.
Colts, Patriots up next here on CBS. Second and 10. Sanchez running out of time. Ball in the air after his arm is hit, and Kevin Bentley has the interception, and he's run out of bounds at the 10-yard line. And look at the Houston sideline. They are ecstatic.
Well, again, the pressure's coming in from the right side of Mark Sanchez. Hit while he throws, and the Jets right now are dumbfounded. There's Mark Anderson. Right there is Wayne Hunter, the replacement for Damian Woody. And right there, Anderson's going to get the push, but then his left hand and is going to get and hit the right arm of Mark Sanchez. Watch Anderson. He's going to get the push around the corner, and then he reaches in there with his left arm and hits the throwing arm. And he's in there because that guy, Damian Woody, hurt his knee in the first half.
2 turnovers in the last 7.5 minutes, and here is Foster inside the 10-yard line. Jets came into this game +6 in the turnover department, tied for 4th best in the NFL. They are -1 today.
Second charge.
Well, the Jets just used a timeout, and they've only got 1 left. And right now, this has got to be a stunned group of New York Jets.
And fans.
But the fairly comfortable with a 23-10 lead, and then pow, it just disintegrates.
Meanwhile, on that last carry, Arian Foster reached 1,000 yards rushing on the season with 80 yards today. Second and goal. Foster again. To the 6. Brian Thomas with the stop. And the Jets use their 3rd and final timeout to stop the clock with 1:44 to play.
Well, Greg, regardless of how this game turns out, one of the question marks we had coming in here, how was this Houston Texans team going to respond to that devastating loss that they suffered last week with that last-second Hail Mary from Jacksonville? And you know what? This was not a deflated football team. Gary Kubiak, he needs a pat on the back for the way he got this team prepared to play this game today.
They came out in the second half and made things happen after the Santonio Holmes touchdown catch. 3rd and goal, and the Jets can no longer stop the clock. Foster pulled down at the 4. And onto the field will come Neil Rackers. Or no, he won't.
Well, he will eventually. I mean, right now they're going to let it run all the way down.
Yeah, he just did a U-turn at the 45-yard line and came back to get something to drink.
Yeah, they'll either stop the clock or take the penalty. Even the penalty here backs them up, even makes it a little more comfortable. It's just an extra point basically right now.
But a field goal necessitates a touchdown from the Jets.
Yes, it does. Give them a 4-point lead.
First charge, timeout.
Houston calls a timeout with 1 second remaining on the play clock and 59 on the game clock. And here comes Rackers. So right about now, Mike Westhoff says, okay, remember during the week when we practiced blocking field goals and returning it about 90-some yards for a touchdown?
That would be some finish. If that would happen to the Texans 2 weeks in a row, I'm not sure emotionally they'd ever recover from that. This is a glorified extra point.
22 yards for Rackers. He's made 35 straight from inside 40. .36 in a row. And Houston's lead is 4 at 27-23 with 55 seconds to play.
And no timeouts. So the New York Jets are going to have to cover a lot of territory and no ability to stop the clock other than going out of bounds.
The AFC East began the day looking like this. Jets and New England tied for the lead at 7-2. Remember, New England against Indianapolis coming up next here on CBS. In the AFC South, Houston started at the bottom of the pack, looking to go 5-5 and break a 3-game losing streak.
Well, the Jets start rooting for Indianapolis, and the Texans start rooting for New England in the game coming up next.
Jets will get the ball and cannot stop the clock via the timeout. Brad Smith.
Both of these teams vitally interested in the game coming up next, as is all of football America, I would imagine. The Pats and the Pates. It's called the Patriots the Pates. That's a name. I don't think I've ever done that before. And I immediately regret it.
Smith looking for another good return. Big first blocker. And comes up short of the 30-yard line. They'll start from the 28-yard line. Mark Sanchez has 49 seconds on the clock. No timeouts.
Well, a slant pattern to Santonio Holmes. That's been working magic lately. Let's see if Brian Schottenheimer and the gang can dial something up here.
1 week ago.
You got playmakers in Edwards. You got playmakers in Holmes.
1 week ago, Houston lost to a Jacksonville Hail Mary at the end of the game. Sanchez eludes the rush. Directing traffic, throws, Tomlinson made the catch at about the 32 or 33-yard line and out of bounds to stop the clock with 40 seconds. 5-yard pickup, 2nd and 5.
Well, the amount of time that took versus the number of yards gained, the Texans are pleased with that.
Tomlinson again. Dancing to midfield and into Houston territory at the 49. Clock continues to move.
Great job by Sanchez of again avoiding a rush.
And he'll spike the ball and stop the clock with 24 seconds to play.
That was some nifty athleticism by Mark Sanchez that time. And looking back on it, when this game is over, I'm not sure the Jets offensive line is going to be very pleased with the way they were able to protect their quarterback today. Or not protect your quarterback, depending on your perspective.
Brian Cushing looking across the line at his good friend Mark Sanchez. 2nd and 10. Sanchez going deep. Braylon Edwards is sideline. Got it! And out of bounds inside the 10.
You can't throw a better pass than Mark Sanchez just delivered to Braylon Edwards. Over the corner, short of the safety. Eugene Wilson late coming into it. Eugene Wilson has the deep outside of the field, and he is late getting there. That is his play, and he wasn't able to pull it off.
16 seconds to play, and Houston uses its 2nd timeout.
The 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL, with less than a minute left in the game, living up to their billing.
Dan, I know that cornerbacks expect cover, help, but still, in a game situation like this, how do you let a receiver get behind you?
Well, first of all, one of the reasons is he's really fast. And Braylon Edwards has got great speed. But it is, again, Jason Allen. He's only been here less than a week, but he knows he's got deep outside help. And I'll tell you what, you can see Eugene Wilson. He's looking inside to Brad Smith. And that was a well-designed play. That's a well-designed play because Brad Smith forced the issue to the inside. He occupied Wilson long enough.
1st and goal at the 6. Jets need a touchdown. Sanchez, corner of the end zone. For the 2nd time today, Santonio Holmes on the receiving end of a touchdown. This one with 10 seconds to play in regulation.
What can you say about Mark Sanchez and what he just did? They're going to look, this is being challenged upstairs. I mean, it's being looked at upstairs. Did Holmes get both feet down with control of the ball?
He did.
And he firmly has control of the football. Again, this will really give us a good look. There's possession. There's 1 down. There's 2 down. Touchdown. New York Jets. I remember Mark Sanchez telling us that last year, after one of his bad games, one of the headlines was Broadway Schmo. And let me tell you something.
After reviewing the play, the rule in the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
There will be no Broadway Schmo headlines after this.
The Jets go 72 yards in 45 seconds. Talk about instant hero in New York, Santonio Holmes. For the third straight week, the extra point is good, and the Jets lead it 30-27.
And again, this drive was all Mark Sanchez. Yes, Braylon Edwards with a big catch. Tomlinson helped out. Santonio Holmes with the touchdown. But number 6 made it happen. And Matt Schaub and the rest of the Texans I can't even imagine the level of their disappointment.
How much heartbreak can a team have in the last several weeks? Santonio Holmes has had himself quite a run these last 3 weeks. Quite a run.
Yes, he has, Greg. Again, against the Lions. Set up the game-winning field goal with that reception right there. This was the game winner against the Browns in overtime last week. And now, against the Texans, with 10 seconds left in the game.
And the Achilles heel for these Houston Texans bites them in the final 10 seconds of play.
And again, how snake-bit can a team be? It just shows you every time you notch a W in the National Football League how precious it is, because they are hard to come by. Just ask the Houston Texans.
Jacoby Jones is deep. And this one will roll down inside the 25-yard line, and Vontae Leach runs it out of bounds. 8 seconds remaining on the clock. Brian Cushing in disbelief. His buddy Mark Sanchez having quite a different idea of this game on the other side.
Well, it's got to be a short-lived celebration for the Jets if they don't give up a touchdown here, because they got to turn around and play again on Thanksgiving night. Cincinnati's coming to town.
Deep in the secondary, the Jets. Houston has 1 timeout remaining. Shaw gonna launch one. Deep down the middle of the field. And it is picked off by Braylon Edwards. No, it's incomplete. It doesn't matter. This game is over. The New York Jets have come from behind to win it. 30-27. Up next, the Colts and the Patriots. For Dan Deerdorf and our entire crew, Greg Gumbel. So long from the Meadowlands. We'll send you to James Brown in New York. After this, you've been watching the NFL on CBS.